and I am a little bit late. I always love chatting with my members before every video, and I was definitely scrambling. Before we get started, I do want to just apologize for the previous thumbnail. It was a big trigger, and I should have known better, but I also thought that it was polarizing and fitting, so I apologize for that. Moving on, we've got tons of really amazing questions today. Like, we are diving deep. We're getting into cosmic disclosure, crystalline children who were born in 2020, obviously John Mcafee, don't know if I'm saying that right, simultaneous timelines, menstrual cycle, I mean, you name it. We're talking about it today, and as always, thank you for being here. I always learn so much from these Q&As too, because these just aren't questions that I usually sit around and ask. So I'm very appreciative of all of you. For new members, just know that every week you get to ask your questions in the community section. So just know that for next time, and then I pick the ones that are the most upvoted. And then this time there was a little bit of a mistake with another Q&A post being posted earlier, but I don't believe in mistakes and everything happens for a reason. And I took a couple questions from the early Q&A post as well. Thank you so much, Ian, for that beautiful super chat / birthday present. I do want to say that my birthday is this week. It is, I'm like thinking about it, it's July 8th. And actually my wife's birthday is this week as well. Her birthday is July 6th. So Cancer babies on either end of the spectrum, it's awesome. So I do have a birthday request. I want to ask for a gift from all of you. And the gift that I want to ask for is forgiveness and good deeds. So obviously, if you need to forgive me, go for it. But really what I mean is find a time in your life where you were really hurt. Find a time in your life where you know, you felt like something wrong happened. Find a time in your life that you go back to that doesn't make you feel great or high vibrational. Find a person in your life that you need to forgive, but you just haven't, okay? My request, my ask for you is to find those people, find those situations, and forgive them. My ask for me, okay, is for you to just let go of whatever other layers, whatever other baggage is holding you back. And if you feel like you've done that work, fantastic, way to go. I mean, even I'm still releasing and unpacking and stripping away layers. It's a lifelong job that we have to do, because we're not just releasing layers from this lifetime, we're releasing layers from many past lives as well. So the other thing too, though, is if you feel pretty good on the forgiveness and the letting go, then I ask that you show someone on my birthday, on July 8th, some love. Maybe it's a friend who's really been hurting. Maybe it's a neighbor who feels outcasted. Maybe it's a family member who you haven't really been getting along with. Kill them with kindness. Give back. Maybe you see a homeless person and you don't usually give money, but you can give money, or you want to give money this time. You know, just find something, some way to give back. Maybe you don't go out on July 8th, right? Stay home. Project your own inner white light to the children who are suffering in the world, or the indigenous people who have all this stuff being uncovered. Find a way to give back on behalf of me, all right? But really from you, because I'm good. I mean, materially, I don't want any more shit. Like, I don't want any more crap. I just want to make this world a better place. And I know that all of you can do that, right? It doesn't just come down to one person, it comes down to all of us. And it's beautiful that, you know, I've been able to cultivate this community, but it's even more beautiful that you've been able to let go of some of Earth's biggest programming, and you're showing up for you. You're showing up for this community, within this community, right? So we're all here, we're doing it together, we're making a change together, and that's what I ask. On behalf of me, for my birthday, I want you guys to release whatever you're holding on to, whatever you can't forgive, forgive. You can't take that stuff with you, and sometimes you do, and then you got to come back. All right. And second thing is give back in whatever capacity you feel you can give back to, smallest ways, biggest ways, internal, external. But that's my birthday wish, is just to make this world a better place. Awesome. Okay, yeah, and then of course subscribe and share this video, especially this one because it's pretty freaking epic. And if you haven't already subscribed, but you're watching this, subscribe. And then, yeah, last but not least, we do have a V course coming out, I believe tomorrow, Monday. I think it's coming out tomorrow, but it is. It's getting officially launched and released tomorrow. If you guys are on the wait list, you'll have access to it. If you are signed up for the emails, you'll get an email blast saying, hey, it's available. Once again, it's only $22, that's US. And it's really amazing. It will shift your vibration. The biggest thing is to transmute that vibration of fear. But we also talk about the physical and the vibrational aspects of how we can get negatively affected. So anyway, so I'm really, really excited for that. And we already have a lot of people signed up for the wait list. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for choosing to let go or transmute your fear for the better. Because that's what we're here. We are not slaves to the matrix, all right? We control the matrix. That's the switch. Cool. Okay, let's just dive right into it. First question here from Misha Michaela. Hello again. I've noticed online people are sharing that their babies who they had during the lockdowns are developing super quickly, such as they're holding their head up the day after they were born, waving and smiling when they're 3 days old, learning to walk super fast, and seeming to understand what's going on TV. It is so cool. Could this be crystalline children coming in? Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys for those super chats. Really appreciate it. Not necessary because you're here, and that's really all that counts. Absolutely. Like when I read this question, I think it was just this morning, I got full body chills and totally got thrown back to a Galactic Federation event that I had. I'm trying to remember what month it was. I want to say, when did we talk about the crystalline children? Maybe 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago. But anyway, they brought this information through that was talking about how 2017 was supposed to be the year where all of these crystalline children, 2017, 2018, yeah, I think it was 2017. All these crystalline children were supposed to be born that year. And then something happened. We talked about that super volcano last time where it actually threw us off our timelines. I don't know if they're related. But basically, oh yeah, this is what it was. And I think it was maybe Bhakta that came through to say this. Don't remember. Don't remember much of what I channel actually. And but basically what they said was, when these crystalline children were being born and coming through this planet, there was like a huge upset, and the vibration, like, oh, this is what it was. They were passing away early. Unfortunately, these children in 2017 were taking early exit points because the density of this planet was still way too much for them to handle. And then the updated timeline that we switched into was like 2020, 2021 was going to be this first round of these brand new crystalline children. Of course, we are, I think, I don't really know all the like layers, but I think we're considered like indigo children or like rainbow children. I've been called both before, but now we've got this brand new kind of child coming through, and they are extremely just pure and clear and practiced, and their souls have trained for this, and they are not coming in with any karma whatsoever, because they are learning about humans through observing humans rather than being one. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's amazing, right? They don't have the layers to shift off. So yeah, to answer your question, Misha, absolutely. I believe that these children, I haven't heard about any of the like super quick developments. And of course, like the fear side is like, oh my goodness, like it must be the steroids in the water or the food or whatever. But really, truly, I do believe that they are coming in stronger. They are coming in more prepared. They are coming in just ready to go, ready to shift the frequency. So I do believe that those are the crystalline children coming through, and it would align with the timelines that we've been told about. As always, timelines can and do always shift because we're a collective of billions of people who are all projecting their own illusions of reality, right? Thus creating the collective reality. So, okay, this next one is a very, very long question, but I have to read it verbatim because it blew my mind. And that doesn't happen too often. It definitely still happens. So this is from Wild Turtles. Okay. I've been trying to post this question a few times, so here goes again. Obviously, the right time this time. I'm wondering if you can tap into more information about moon time / menstrual bleeding. Do you know why women bleed monthly? Honestly, no. I've never really even thought about it. I just thought it's something that our bodies do. I personally have had access to the information that when humans started to be able to reproduce during the hybrid clone process and update by the Anunnaki, when women were able to ovulate within divine and sacred sexuality in the moment of divine conception with no menstrual bleeding whatsoever. First of all, I just want to say that I've never thought about that, but that resonates 100%. So interesting that we were just able to conceive in the moment rather than waiting for like a day period, you know what I mean? No pun intended, to ovulate and procreate. So I thought that was really interesting. And then Wild Turtles goes on to say, the jump to having a monthly menstrual bleed / moon time actually only started when the moon satellite was put into place to direct the Saturn controlling frequencies. This started a disempowerment of women processing the corruption of human sexuality, the bleeding cycle as monthly torture, and life force depletion to lower our vibration, including physical capacity, and to actually feed into the reps ritual of blood. Full body chills once again. Although many human living masters have made some bits of information available throughout time to help us transmute this messed up energy with techniques of divine feminine connection, to neutralize the control, both energetically and physically, and to shift the current divine feminine consciousness. I would love and appreciate some clarification and or validation, as I feel so alone sitting with this information. Many thanks. I started following your work back in October 2020, and you've been a breath of fresh air into my world ever since. I feel so grateful, inspired, and validated by your work, and love to be a part of this community. Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrea. Okay, so I've never thought about any of that, but it really aligns to a lot of things that I've also already channeled about the satellite and connection to Saturn. Never even thought about bleeding every month being feeding into reptilian ritual. Let's tune into it. Let's just start it off nice and light. 1 second. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Okay, okay, interesting. So, I do want to just confirm and validate a lot of that information. There wasn't like that information that came through specifically, but I mean, it resonates with me, but that piece wasn't really like spoken about necessarily. What did come through, actually, the first thing that came through about all of this is the fact that a long time ago, indigenous communities, which is crazy that this is all being kind of woven together, took this corruption of this cycle and this like bleeding and all of that, and they made it into something really positive. So that's like a very clear example of being able to transmute the negative effects of this kind of, as you call it, torture cycle. I probably wouldn't call it that, but it does feel like it's been controlled and manipulated to even to control the population, right? I mean, that makes so much sense. And but this monthly cycle has also been really honored and really seen as something that's sacred by the indigenous communities, and that happened a long time ago, and women were really highly regarded and respected during these cycles, and they transmuted the negative energy to honor it into something that as women are able to release old negative vibrations, emotions, what have you, once a month, and men have to work harder at that. So right now, like, it really depends on what your perception is, right? I mean, if you perceive it as a torture mechanism every month and you resent it and resist it, which I definitely have gone through, then it's going to be negative. It's going to be a negative force in your life. If you observe it and appreciate it and transmute it and understand it's a time of release, then you're going to be able to perceive it in a higher vibration, like anything. All right, it's always the answer. It's what's your perception of it. But I just thought it was interesting how the indigenous side came through very early on and said, we are not going to allow this to be a negative thing. So that's very interesting. Then I asked a question, and the question was, will we get to a point where we're going to be able to get pregnant no matter what, like spontaneously, not just during ovulation, just like the taking back the divine feminine power? And then also, will we actually get rid of moon cycles altogether in the future? The answer came through for yes, for both of them. And it's interesting because even right now, what we're seeing is just a lot of women having a lot of varying degrees of menstrual cycles. And sometimes, like, I've had clients in the past who haven't gotten their cycle in 6 to 8 months, and they're just integrating and processing sort of things. So we're going to see this. We're going to see definitely a change, but there's going to be a lot of fear with that change. And I totally get it, because we have a lot more chemicals. We have a lot more BS. We have a lot more kind of messed up control mechanisms and even physical things, including the V, okay, that are impeding on our natural progress, right? And just flow. So, of course, there's going to be fear of fertility things and ovulation things and menstrual cycle things, and taking it in a negative way. But I just want to say that moving forward, and I actually heard 50 years, like, it's not really going to be in our lifetime that we're going to move into this empowered women's kind of movement with our menstrual cycles and even getting pregnant. And it also all depends on the vibration of the mother too, is what came through, as far as like almost like a spontaneous pregnancy, without having to track it. And if the mother is open, if the mother is vibrationally clear, if the mother is asking for that and doing ceremony with it, it's going to be a lot easier to get pregnant off of your ovulation than it is if you're I don't know, maybe more trapped into this matrix, right? Or this illusion or what have you. So yeah, so there's both. There's always both sides to things, but I think it's really fascinating that this really all links back to population control, the moon being a satellite, controlling our electromagnetic frequencies and our moon cycles. And I never really even thought about the points that you made here, Wild Turtles, but thank you for making that. Just, I think for all the women out there, we're like, cool, we've got a choice to make. How do you perceive it? I know that I've fought with it every single month, and sometimes I still do. So cool. And maybe we'll get into that, like a little, like have a, its own video later on. But awesome. Okay, let's move on to Doodle Dan. Such a great question. I mean, these are all great questions today. Hi, EA. So when we hop into different timelines, what happens to the version of us we leave behind? Does our soul split? Or do we live through all versions of ourselves, living in all different possible timelines? The concept is a bit confusing, and I think it would be beneficial to discuss. Awesome. Let's talk about timelines. So this takes me back to, I want to say probably 2010, 2011, when I was just starting to kind of reawaken, expand, astral travel, do all the things. I was working at a coffee shop, and I was on the bus, like on my way to my job. It was like 6 a.m., so it was still dark out. It was in the middle of winter too, it was cold. And I was sitting on the bus, and I was looking at the reflection of myself across from me. And then I was also simultaneously looking at everything past me as I was looking at the reflection of me. And I had this huge download, and I said, oh my goodness, that's exactly what this reality is. It is layers on top of layers on top of more transparent layers. And what is the real layer? What is the real reality, right? And then in that moment, I really felt like I needed to make a statement, right? So here I am on the bus, half asleep in the morning, having this kind of experience, and I make this statement very clearly in my mind, and I say, something along the lines of, it was a long time ago, I choose to update myself for the highest good from all of the possible timelines. And it was the wildest thing. Like, I just said that intuitively. And in that moment, I'm getting chills just remembering it. In that moment, I was sitting there all bundled up, and all of these versions of myself, but it was only in this reality. Okay, so I wasn't yet even really into aliens. I didn't even think about lifetimes that I was experiencing in other dimensions out there. But in that moment, there was like relationships that I had let go of that actually still living through in other parallel timelines that came and updated into me. So literally probably hundreds of versions of me all came into my body in that moment when I said I choose to update myself for the highest good of all involved. And instantly, it was so funny. And sometimes I do this still to this day. It went from me being on the bus, right? Obviously having this download and like being connected, but I was out of my body. Like, I wasn't present. The second all of those versions of myself came into my body, it was like the chill was chillier. My vision was clearer and sharper. The taste in my mouth was predominant. Like, all of my senses just woke up because I was scattered. I was a little bit everywhere, right? So what happens to the versions of us that we leave behind? There's really never any like leaving behind versions of us. They're all playing out simultaneously, which, yes, Doodle Dan, does mean that there are fractals and versions of us that are all over the place. There's a version of us that didn't get this house. There's a version of us that's still back in LA. There's a version of us that doesn't have a dog or what have you, right? And so there's all these versions of us, and they do deplete us. They do take away from our present conscious moment right now. So great question, Dan. Hopefully that kind of answers it. I really miss quantum physics. I just feel like I haven't been like talking about it and exploring it in all of the ways that I love to, because it does get really trippy and really complex. But I know that there's a time and a place for everything. So I'm just so passionate about it. So yeah, super interesting. So update yourself, guys, and you should be able to bring all of that through and really like power up again. Okay, so another really good question here. Unofficial Psycho, interesting name, to EA and the Galactic Federation. Is there anything that starseeds can do to speed up humanity's introduction to the extraterrestrial life that is and always has been around us? Or is there a fated timeline for this that cannot or should not be changed? Thank you for your time and just simply being alive, EA. You are underappreciated, but it won't be forever. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. Okay, so I just want to like make mention, and then I actually want to tune into probably the Palladian Security Council for this. And I do tune into this quite often, is like disclosure. When is it going to happen? But in this case, I just want to mention that right now, there are really not a whole lot of fated timelines left for humanity. This is so fascinating because all the way back, okay, leading up until this point, there were a ton of timelines of this needs to happen then, and this is how we're gonna tackle it, and this is how we're gonna navigate it. Like literally for humanity's existence, there has been these huge moments in time that are supposed to happen at that time to shift and change and suppress and reawaken and all of the things. Right now, we are shifting and changing and moving into this frequency that no one, no interdimensional being, no secret elite agenda member, okay, can actually really rely on. There are no timelines that we can rely on. Definitely not for the collective, but also not for us individually. If you feel stuck, you shouldn't, because you have the choice in this moment to make a different choice, to shift your timeline to a different frequency and to essentially go down a whole different road where you don't feel stuck, where you feel liberated and abundant. So I love that you brought up these like faded, not faded, but like fated, like this fate timelines, right? There is no destiny for humanity. There are no timelines for humanity other than this awakening, other than this shift in consciousness. That's it. And as far as when it's going to happen, as along with when disclosure is going to happen, it's all up in the air. Like even that guy from Israel who disclosed the Galactic Federation, up to the GFL, that was not supposed to happen then, right? It's not supposed to happen, but it did. So it's just really fascinating. I also like totally eye roll at the Pentagon and the government releasing UFO videos from like 1940. Like, come on, you guys. Like, you for sure have way more footage and knowledge than that. And I know that the truth is out there, but I wish that the institution, the systems would actually just come clean, even about 10, 25% of what they know. And right now they're giving us like less than 1%. They're like, oh, this got leaked years ago. Let's just officially say that it's true. Just like NASA, like a year ago was like, we found life on another planet. Oh my God, what is it? Oh, it's a microorganism that has been in stasis for like trillions of years. Fantastic, NASA. Thanks so much for disclosing that there is life on other planets. It's BS. It is total BS, and it just drives me nuts. Anyway, let's just see if there's anything that we can do as starseeds to speed up humanity's cosmic disclosure, because that's going to shift. That's it. Like, that's going to be the fear, the religious questioning, the soulful questioning. Then who are we in relation to them? And how did we get here? And were they a part of it? And are we a part of them? I mean, cosmic disclosure is our next biggest step. So yeah, how do we get there faster? Good question. All right, 1 second. Yeah, exactly. Okay, interesting. Okay, so just like two really quick things about this. I mean, the main thing that came through here, and it's come through again and again and again, is just ask for it. We are conscious creators. We can ask for whatever reality we want to step into. So all we have to do is ask for it. There isn't some secret, password that we have to just say. It's just, hey, can we get cosmic disclosure? Like I'm ready for cosmic disclosure. Now, the funny thing is that they said you can ask for cosmic disclosure, but most likely you're going to be attracting an independent individual cosmic disclosure, which is cool because it's always nice to see UFOs in the sky and have a little conversation with the being at night or whatever, right? But what the GFL said, or the Palladian Security Council said, is ask for humanity to be ready for cosmic disclosure. That's the kicker. Don't just ask for cosmic disclosure because you're going to get it. You are going to get it, right? But we all have to be asking for humanity to be ready for cosmic disclosure. And that could very well mean more collapse of the religious systems, more collapse of the financial systems, more collapse of these old limiting beliefs, more collapse of the fear systems that are in place. Because it's a freaky experience to have, to understand that we're not alone in the universe, and what that may mean. And if you're in a low vibrational or fear vibrational frequency, then you're going to perceive it like it's either a fake alien invasion or they're here to kill us all. I mean, that's the 3D, the kill us all, and the 4D, it's a fake alien, it's a conspiracy. 5D is like, I'm just asking for cosmic disclosure for the planet, for the highest good of all involved, so that we can finally understand that we're not alone, that we have family out there, and that we're not actually crazy. Hey, give it to the minorities here. So all right, great question. All right, moving on. 3 more questions. Karina, okay, will we leave this old world physically when rising to the new world? And do we have to take farewell from family and friends? Would also like to know how to know if you are a starseed. Okay, so basically, like, will we be leaving this old world physically when raising to a new frequency and moving into the new world? And will we have to say goodbye to family and friends? It's a great question. It has come up many times before, but I wanted to just make mention of it because I'm sure a lot of you are thinking that. I know that when I first got introduced to this new vibration, this awakening that we're stepping into after my very first GFL meeting in the center of the moon back in 2011, I thought that I was going to lose. I'm like, great, so I'm completely alone. None of my friends in university are coming with me to this new planet, this new world, this new 5D frequency, and none of my family members are ever going to make it there because that's just not where their consciousness was. Now, if I take a look at my friends and family, they're all coming with me, or most of them. No, from what I understand, and I have not had a clear picture on what that transition fully looks like. I know that it means the collapse of the old world, the collapse of the systems that have been feeding the top 1% and squashing the 99% us. I know that needs to shift, and we're already seeing that shift, which is great. But as far as like, is it a solar flare event that wipes everything out? And, I also have seen before in visions from the GFL, like, not necessarily a solar flare, it's something different, a giant cosmic wave of like radiation, but not radiation, but it's like an intelligent wave that, and I hate to say this, like judges our frequency and chooses whether or not we're like ready for the new world. I have seen that in visions before, not anytime recently. That was maybe 10 years ago. So I don't know how it's going to happen. But what I do know is that pretty much most of us are coming. It is really a very small percentage of individuals who are stubborn and stuck and greedy and dark and negative, who are unwilling to change, that are not necessarily moving to that higher frequency, okay? And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if they're just whisked away on a ship, because I've heard of that theory. I don't know if they pass away in their physical form and their souls move on to maybe another 3rd dimensional planet, because this is no longer going to be 3D. Like, I've seen multiple different ways this is going to play out. Or, hey, we're still here, nothing dramatic happens, and we're choosing to slowly shift that vibration independently. Most people come along with us. As far as having to say goodbye to friends and family, what I recommend is, like I said, I don't think that we're moving anywhere. Like, we're not saying bye, like, I'm not, you're not coming with me to the new earth, right? It's not, nothing like that. But most likely you are stepping into a new vibration, and most likely the people who you love and know around you are not in that new vibrational frequency, which basically means that there is going to be a bit of saying goodbye. There is going to be a bit of cord cutting. There is going to be a bit of a separation. So yeah, I do recommend that you say goodbye to friends and family members in the way that you're okay if they don't understand where you're coming from. You're okay if the communication is just a hit and miss. We have to kind of be okay with being in a different place than other people, not in a negative way, but just in a way that if you're not okay with being in a different place or being misunderstood, then you're going to continue to lower your vibrational frequency and do things through obligation just because other people around you are not where you are. And that is no way to live. That is a way to live in a trapped realm of your own reality, because that's what you're choosing. You're choosing to continue to say yes to obligation and what is it called? Shame and guilt of like, oh, like you don't understand me, so I'll just simplify it. I'll just water it down. I'll just be present, you know? I don't know, it's tough. We're all going through it though. We're all going through the experience of being misunderstood because fear and polarity are ripe right now. That's just what it comes down to. And this is a storm out there, you know, it's a stormy weather out there. It is a battle. It is a full-on light and dark battle, and we are just trying to stay grounded and expand and do the work ourselves without trying to get thrown off too much, but it's happening. So stay strong, starseeds, stay strong. And then last thing here in this question is like, how do I know if I'm a starseed? Most likely, if you're here, if you're a part of this community, you are a starseed. Not a lot of like human souls, and I hate saying it that way because it sounds like it's condescending or like yeah, it doesn't sound good. But a lot of like human souls, okay, or 3D souls, they wouldn't be able to handle this kind of information. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. But if you felt lonely, if you felt like the black sheep of your family, if you felt outcasted, if you felt different, if you've always questioned, if you've always looked for the bigger picture, you're most likely a starseed. All right, cool. Okay, 2 more questions. Jaris, hi EA, my heart's being weighed down by those poor little souls who lost their lives in the residential schools in Canada. Is there more to it? I remember reading years ago about Queen Elizabeth being seen walking 10 children into the forest at Kamloops School for them never to return. Obviously, back then, that was labeled a conspiracy. But is it the truth? That's great. Thank you, Jaris, for even bringing this up about Queen Elizabeth walking 10 children into the forest at the Kamloops School. I mean, wild. I'm not going to tap into this, but I did want to mention it. And I want to mention these things. Same thing with like the moon cycle and wild turtles. I want to mention these things just to kind of expand your mind to say, there's a lot going on out there that we just don't know. And it can be a little bit intimidating, can be a little bit overwhelming that we just don't know what's going on, or that there's just so much information. But I just want to plant a seed. The reason why I think I don't want to get into it is because it feels unnecessary to get into it. It feels like we know that there's corruption. We know that Queen E is totally like literally the leader of that whole group. So that's nothing new, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the truth, but we can't get hung up on it. We just need to know about it. Hey, this is possible. This is, anyway, I'll just plant the seed there. I just wanted to kind of read that comment to you. And the biggest thing that I would mention is if you're feeling connected to these children who have been lost and then found again. And it's interesting because for years now, every Canada Day, I always make a mention of, cool, let's all celebrate the genocide of millions of Indigenous people who lost their culture, their language, who lost their connection to source because of the white men, the European who came here. You know what I mean? So like for years I've been saying that. I feel really happy that this stuff is being exposed this year. And that was the huge word that came through when I channeled back in 2020 what 2021 was going to be about. Corruption exposed, corruption exposed, corruption exposed. And here we go, here we have it, right? And I think I'm just waiting for religious exposure. That's what I picked up on as well. Like there's going to be something that happens in the next 6 months that's going to expose the religious corruption. And I mean, we all know about a lot of the corruption there. But anyway, either way, it always falls back on the children. They are always the most vulnerable. They are these beautiful star seeds, and they have been targeted. So what I recommend is, whether they be children who have been abused by the church, Catholic Church, whether they be children who have been abused in residential schools, children who are continuing to be abused or abandoned right now all over the world, please send them your love. Please send them your light. Please help liberate them just by being aware of what's going on and sending them that unconditional love, rather than being like, I can't believe that this stuff is happening to the children and this is awful and we need to fight it. That is not the right vibration to have. We need to give them love. And yeah, it angers us, and it should, because we're human beings and we should have that compassion and we should have that passion and we should know what is right and what is wrong, and be there and feel it and understand the polarity, but don't get stuck there. Understand that you can transmute it and override it with a higher frequency, a higher perception, and you can actually help the children from your own living room or your own bedroom. Okay, so that's what I recommend for all of you who do want to give back, and you can. And there's tons of good charities, Indigenous charities, and even Save the Children, you know, our rescue charities that are great for sex trafficking and what have you, which is fine too. It's just the physical way of giving, but we have a vibration within us that is connected to all of them, and we can help them that way. Okay, 3D, 4D, 5D. Do not get stuck in 4D. All right, do not get stuck in the polarity, the corruption, the conspiracy, the truth. It is the truth. 4D, it's the truth, but above and beyond that is infinite, unconditional love. Let's go above that. Let's understand 3D. Let's understand 4D. Let's go above that, though. Let's sit in 5D and liberate the people who are in 3D. Liberate the ones who are stuck in 4D with that unconditional love frequency. It's the only way to do it these days. You cannot fight fire with fire. Trust me, I've tried. Doesn't work. Does not work. All right. Okay, last question about John Mcafee. Super interesting here. All right. Hi, EA. I wanted to briefly ask about the late John Mcafee and his dead man's wish. Did he actually set up the means for a deep state documents dump upon the news of his death, or was Mr. Mcafee in the end the most epic of trolls? Once again, it could be either one. Okay, so when he passed, I channeled it. I didn't do this publicly. Probably because of maybe a little bit of fear. Yeah, just because, I mean, he died because of what he knew. So for me to tap into what he knew and then to say it right away, it freaks me out a little bit. All right, not gonna lie. So I will say that he wasn't some sort of like, he wasn't like some sort of angel, okay, by any means, all right? He was trying to do one thing, which was kind of his own, like kind of sneaky, kind of manipulative. He was trying to hack into the system, get documents, information, all right? Upon him hacking into the system to basically benefit in a selfish way, all right, is what I channeled. So funny, so bizarre. Okay, I just want to tell you the timeline that I just tapped into. Also, timelines have been really intense recently. There's a timeline where he actually never died. I just said it. Obviously, that's like, obviously there is, but it's like a Mandela Effect. Anyway, so fascinating. Okay, so obviously in this timeline he did pass. And upon his sneaking around and trying to hack the system and trying to benefit from his hacks and whatever, he came across huge documents, okay, that exposed the government, the American government, and really all of the governments all over the world for what they were doing. And I will say that what he came across, two of the biggest things, and before he was able to release proof, they knew that he had this information, and here we are today. Okay. He discovered that two things. One, that the governments were the biggest drug traffickers to the people. No surprise. I mean, that's not a shocker, all right? But he discovered that, like, straight up, here's a senator, here's a governor, I don't know, here's a president, here's all these people who are involved in taking drugs from other countries and feeding it to the people. Why? I don't know, to lower our vibration, to distract us from our own eternal truth, to take us off our path. That sounds about right. And two, he also discovered that the governments and a lot of non-government organizations, NGOs, who are kind of like world government stuff, who are probably the most corrupt organizations, to be honest, and I studied a lot of them in university. He discovered that these NGOs are also the entire world's biggest child sex trafficking organizations as well. It's not a mob. It's not a corrupt individual. It is the systems that we have in place. That's what it is. He knew this. He had proof of this. And he was, I don't know if he was threatened or like scared to release the proof that he had. For all of us, it is no surprise whatsoever that the government are a part of this, and pretty much the biggest part of this. I want to go as far as saying that, mobsters, okay, are actually being led and controlled by the government elites, and that's just kind of what my belief is. So once again, please subscribe to the channel if you vibe with this frequency. Be sure to share this video and other videos that you resonate with. The V course, if you hold any fear around the V in all of the ways or any of the ways, or you just want to know some really helpful physical tips and quantum tips to help you navigate, check that out. That's being released tomorrow. And then it is my birthday on the 8th, and it's Nat's birthday on the 6th. And ultimately, the greatest gift that you guys could give me is to forgive someone in your life that you're still holding attachment to or resentment to, and do one kind thing on the 8th, and give back to the world, because that is the greatest gift that you could ever give me, is giving back. And if I've made an impact on your life, please carry that through and make an impact on someone else's life. All right, and I'm sure that you already do, but maybe be conscious of it this week. And that's it. Love you guys so much. As always, keep up the good work. Thank you so much for being here, a part of this community. It's been polarizing, it's been a lot, and I'm so grateful for having these kind of experiences, because it helps me grow and become a better student and become a better communicator and become a better human overall, because all this human stuff is very new to me as well. So we're all just kind of navigating projection and attachment and resentment and obligation and all of that. So I'm just so grateful. Yeah, and I'm almost 29, so I'm getting up there, getting old over here. I'm kidding. All right. Have a great rest of your week. Bye for now.